Alright, today we're going to go over the lights. So, for my normal days, I did the default control type of day, lights. Fall back to off, start time, to off time, and then you can choose a condition for shutting down. So, for my instance, I chose the temp probe, and then said if it gets above 82 degrees, turn off. And then for this guy, it's just like a delay. So it'll wait 30 minutes. Then my dawn and dusk, pretty much the same thing. Just go on through and choose your settings. Why did I do 9? No. And those are LED lights, so I figured if it gets up to 90, there's something else going on, so I left it at that. And then for moon, or just the really light, I did the reciprocal. Same thing, it's an LED moonlight. And my refugium light. I used to do a reverse cycle, but to prevent any of those algae in there from going asexual, I just did 24 hours instead. And I'm also going to probably just hammer out the rest of these guys. So let's look at cooling fan. In my sump I set up a little fan, like just a standard Walmart little desk fan or something. And then I set the condition so if my temperature is greater than 78.5, then turn the fan on. And then if my temp is less than 78.2, then you can turn it off. My tank is supposed to be at about 78 for high, so I just kind of left it at that. UV, just standard. I did a feeder for it, but I guess for depending on what you're feeding, you may or may not need it. Heater. Same thing, I just said if the temp's less than 7, this turn on. If it's greater than that, turn off. And defer for 2 minutes, then on. So if it's right on the borderline of 77.7, then it turns on, and then it was 1 minute and 30 seconds, and it gets below that, it's going to wait for the full 2 minutes before turning back on. And that's just kind of to help your heater from burning out sooner than it should. Why 2 minutes? I don't know. I used to have an Airstone, which I just had set for always on. Phosphate reactor. That thing can just run all the time from the way I had it set up. And then I did do the feeder for that as well. And then for my right wavemaker and left wavemaker, I just set them to on all the time. You could do pump if they can withstand, being turned on and off a bunch throughout the day. Then you could set it for like time intervals, so you can have an off time, on time, off time. And then if you wanted, you could do a feeder for them as well. So when you've got your hands in there, you don't have to worry about them blowing the food around more than you want it to. I don't remember. Yeah, I showed you guys that. Got that. That should be just the same as the right. Did that. I would show you the email stuff, but it's pretty straightforward. You just put in your guys' email info in there, and hopefully it works. Display setup. So you can, after you've renamed something, you can configure the display to show how everything looks. I never really did anything with profile setup. You can adjust your probes. And this is where I went and renamed, because I have a display module, then a left power bar and a right power bar. Clock setup. Season table just kind of shows you what, because there is coding for where you could use this to, so it'll do sunrise and sunset according to, or you could use the normal calendar stuff to program off of that. Just a basic log of what you're and then a graph, of course, and then your basic setup for everything else. So there you go. There's pretty much everything that how I set it up in a nutshell for what was left. Probably do a video to do up close on the sump, so stay tuned for that.